Hello everyone, welcome back to another English online session. I hope you all fine. Today I am going to explain you the balance part of the story The Happy Prince. In the previous class I have explained you first few passages of the story The Happy Prince. I have told you this is the story of a prince. He was passed away. Now they built a statue in his remembrance. And now only he was watching all the miseries, sufferings of the people in his country, his loyal subjects. He was worried about the pathetic condition of his subjects and he decided to help. But as a statue, he was attached with a pedestal, and so he couldn't move from that place and help the other people. Only he was watching. Fortunately, a swallow, it was on its way to Egypt because it's winter, the birds could not tolerate the severe freezing cold here. But the swallow decided to rest, and it was resting at the feet of the statue. By the time they had a conversation, and the statue of the Happy Prince convinced the swallow to help the poor people. Firstly, they decided to help a poor woman who was doing embroidery, and her son was not well. And swallow took the ruby and it decided to give the boy, and it went there and it just kept the ruby and came back. Now let me explain the balance part of the story. The swallow put this ruby stone on the table nearby the thimble. Thimble is an object they used to wear while stitching to protect their finger. After keeping the ruby stone on the table, the swallow went near the boy as his mother was sleeping and no one was taking care of him. It shook its wings near him, because of which the boy could felt the cool air and felt better. The boy felt that he was getting better and went to sleep. With this, we can make out that the swallow was a kind-hearted bird. The swallow flew back and went to the statue of Happy Prince and told him what all he had done. Now the bird felt warm. It says that it was very strange that it was feeling little warm even though the weather was very cold. So by this activity we can understand that not only the Happy Prince, the swallow, the little bird also a kind-hearted one, ready to help. Even though it was in trouble, it is ready to help others. The prince said that it was feeling warm because it had done a good deed. It had helped someone. After listening to Happy Prince, the swallow started thinking, and when he started thinking, he felt sleepy because whenever he thought, he used to feel sleepy. Next morning, the swallow bird went to the river and took a bath and thought that that night he would reach Egypt. He was very happy. So then Swallow Bird visited all the monuments of the city, and finally he went and sat on the high tower of the church, the steeple. When it was night and the moon rose in the sky, the swallow went to Happy Prince and sought permission to leave for Egypt. The swallow became very happy because he helped someone, and the Happy Prince also appreciated him. Finally, he decided to leave Egypt with a happy heart. Now again, Happy Prince requested Swallow to stay with him one more night. And Swallow replied that he needed to go to Egypt because his friends were waiting for him. Now here the Happy Prince is telling the Swallow about his second work. He says that far away across the city, I could see a small dark room at the top of the house. A young man is sitting. He was sitting on a desk on which the papers were spread all over, and he was trying to work hard. He had a glass lying near him in which withered flowers were lying. Further, the happy prince gave a description of that boy. He said that his hair was were brown and crisp, which meant that he had not taken bath for a long time. His lips were red like pomegranate and had big dreamy eyes. That means this boy was very ambitious and hardworking. So here the happy prince is giving the second work to swallow. He was asking the swallow to stay one more night and help him to help a boy. The swallow understood what Happy Prince was trying to tell him. He knew that Happy Prince wanted to help this boy, so he agreed to stay back for one more night. And further, the swallow asked Happy Prince if he should take another ruby stone to give it to the boy, the young playwright. Playwright, the one who writes play, drama. Just like he had given it to the old lady, Happy Prince said that now he had his eyes, which were made of very precious and rare sapphires stones, which had been brought thousands of years ago from India. So the Happy Prince told the swallow to take out one sapphire and give it to the boy. So the swallow again agreed to help the Happy Prince. Gradually, they are becoming close friends. So, Swallow was compelled to the wish of the Happy Prince and decided to help the boy on behalf of the Happy Prince. The swallow was very sad to learn that the happy prince wanted to give his eyes to that boy and he started crying. He told happy prince that he could not do so, but then the happy prince ordered the swallow to do what he had told him to do. So finally the swallow took out one eye, one sapphire out of the prince's eye, and flew to the young man's garret. There was a hole on the roof of the room. The boy was sitting with his head on his hands, and that's why he did not hear the flutter of the bird's wing. And when he looked up, he saw the sapphire stone lying on the dried flowers. When the boy saw that beautiful stone, he felt that some admirer, some person who prized him, had sent a gift for him. So he thought that with this he could now finish his play. So they helped the second person, a dramatist who was in a very poor condition, could not buy food or wood fire, and struggling to complete his drama, his play. But with the help of the happy prince and swallow, he got a sapphire and he can sell it and get some money, and with all the comfortable facilities he can complete the play. Next morning the swallow bird flew down to the harbor and sat on a mast of a ship. He spoke loudly that he was going to Egypt, and when it was night he flew back to happy prince. Swallow once again told the happy prince that it had come to say goodbye. He was going to Egypt. And once again, Happy Prince requested Swallow to stay with him for one more night. The Swallow said to the Happy Prince that the winter season had started and after some time it would start snowing. The weather in Egypt was warm and even the crocodiles lay on the mud lazily there. So he told him to let him go to Egypt. Now, when the second work was over, the swallow became free and very happy, and again it asked or said goodbye to the happy prince. But the happy prince again assigned him a task, asked him to stay one more night. But he explained that what's the condition is going to take place after this. The winter is about to start, and what's the condition in Egypt. He can be very comfortable conveniently, he can spend some time in Egypt, but what to say, the happy prince again requesting the swallow to stay back one more night. And now, this was the third assignment. The happy prince said that there was a match girl. She was a little girl, and all her matchsticks had fallen in the gutter. Gutter means sewage, and go wet. All her matchsticks were spoiled, so she could not sell them, and she would not earn any money. And when she would go home without money, then her father would get angry and beat her. For this reason, the girl was crying. Further, the happy prince said that she was not wearing shoes or stockings, and she had not covered her head. She was very poor. So he said to the swallow to take out another sapphire from his eyes and give to her so that her father didn't beat her. Swallow agreed to stay with him for one more night, but he refused to take out another sapphire because if he did that, then Happy Prince would be blind. So the third assignment is he asked the swallow to help a innocent girl who was crying because she lost the matchsticks. She used to tell matchsticks, and she lost it in the drainage, and it went wet. If she was not bringing some money home, her father may beat her. So the happy prince decided to help her. Again, Happy Prince told Solo to do what he had ordered to do. So finally, the Solo obeyed the Happy Prince's order. He took another sapphire stone from his eye and flew to the little match girl. And when he saw the match girl, he bent very low and kept the sapphire stone on the little girl's hand. The little girl was very happy to see the stone, and she went home happily. When Solo returned to Happy Prince, he told him that now he was blind and so he would stay with him forever. But Happy Prince said to the Solo that he should go to Egypt, but Solo refused and said that he would stay with him only. And he slept on the prince's feet. The swallow used to stay along with the happy prince all the time and used to tell him the story of the different places that he had visited. So now we can understand the bond between happy prince and the swallow. It was very strong. Now the swallow decided to stay with the happy prince all the time. Even it was not worrying about the winter and the severe cold. Because the happy prince was blind, the swallow remained there and explained all the things he was seeing and what was happening in that city. The happy prince said to the swallow to tell him wonderful things, but added that nothing was more wonderful than the suffering of people. No mystery was bigger than sadness, and he wanted to know who all were sad in his kingdom. So he asked the swallow to go and let him know what he saw while flying over the city. So the swallow flew and took a round over the city and saw that the rich people were living happily in their beautiful houses, and they were partying while the poor people were begging and sitting outside the gates. Then he went to the dark lands where there was no light. Also, the poor people lived. There he saw that the children were hungry, due to which their faces had turned white. So these lines telling us now the swallow is working as the eyes of the happy prince. Whatever the swallow was watching, he was informing it to the happy prince. Finally, he found the children. They were on the lands, on the street. The children were suffering. They were suffering because of lack of money. They are suffering because of poverty. Further, the swallow saw two little boys under the arc of the bridge. They were lying much close to each other so that they kept themselves warm. They were so poor, they didn't have food, so they were trying to keep each other warm. Swallow went back to Happy Prince and told him what he had seen in the city. The Happy Prince told Swallow that his whole body was covered with a fine gold. He could take tiny pieces of gold from his body and give it to the poor people in need. All the living beings required money, and when they would get gold, they would feel happy. Slowly, the swallow took out the gold layers from the statue of Happy Prince, and as he removed the layers of the gold, the Happy Prince statue started looking dull and grey. As the statue of Happy Prince started looking dull and grey, the children grew happier because through it they were getting food to eat. So each and every pieces, fine gold pieces on the statue was removed and given to the poor people. This shows the kind heart or the benevolence of the happy prince. And Swallow, with a full heart, was finding whoever in need of money or in help and giving this fine gold to support them. Finally, it started snowing, and when a lot of snow fell, everything froze. Everyone was wearing clothes made of fur. Small children were wearing red color caps and were roaming here and there. They were skating on the ice. Swallow bird was feeling very cold, but he kept on sitting near the happy prince statue. He did not want to leave him because he loved the happy prince. The bird did not want to die. So he used to go to the bakery where the baker used to bake the bread, to eat the bread crumbs and try to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. The swallow was aware that he was about to die. He had only enough strength to fly back to the statue of Happy Prince. And he says now, when this swallow is about to die, he says to the Happy Prince that, "Can I kiss your hand?" Happy Prince thought that the swallow wanted to go to Egypt. So he said that he was happy that finally the bird was going to Egypt. The swallow loved the happy prince very much. That's why he decided to stay back with the happy prince. But because of this winter, this swallow was losing its strength, and it was becoming weaker and weaker. So finally, he used to just pick up crumbs of bread and eat and just rest at the feet of Happy Prince. Finally, he understand that he was about to die. So he just asked the Happy Prince, "May I kiss your hand?" So the happy prince very happy because happy prince thought that finally the swallow decided to leave or decided to go to Egypt. The happy prince now wanted swallow should go to Egypt because the happy prince understand that if the swallow remain here some more time it will die. The happy prince said to the swallow that it had stayed for a very long time and now it should go to Egypt. It wanted the bird to kiss its lips instead of the hands because the statue loved the bird. The swallow bird said to the happy prince that he was not going to Egypt but to the house of death. He added that death was a brother of sleep. He kissed the happy prince on his lips and fell down to the feet of happy prince and died. As soon as the bird died on the happy prince's feet, an unusual sound came out from the statue. The sound was of the breaking of the statue's heart, which was made of lead. The heart broke because of the death of his beloved bird. But it is said that it was so cold that the heart broke into two pieces. So the pathetic end to the swallow. It died. It kissed the happy prince and fell at the feet of happy prince and died. So the happy prince, the statue of happy prince, could not tolerate the pain. The heart of the happy prince, it was broken. The next morning, the mayor of the city, along with his councillors, was taking a round of the area where the statue of Happy Prince was erected. And when he crossed the statue and looked at it, he said that the statue of Happy Prince looked untidy. The councillors always agreed with whatever the mayor used to say, so they also asserted that the statue looked untidy. The mayor noticed that the ruby stone which was placed in the handle of the stone was missing. The sapphires from the statue's eyes were missing. Also, the layers of the gold from its body was also missing. The mayor said that it seemed as it was the statue of the beggar, and town councillors agreed with him. Here, if you look at the attitude of the mayor, you can understand that the mayor only giving importance to the outer beauty of something or someone. He was very happy when this statue was covered with gold and sapphires were on the eyes and the ruby on the sword hilt. But now he was the same person who praised the statue was telling that it was untidy and it looked very ugly, and councillors also supporting his view. The mayor noticed that a dead bird was lying on the feet of the statue. Then he told the town councillor to pass an order that birds were not allowed to die on the feet of the statue. And the town clerk made a note of the suggestion given by him. Look at that, how ridiculous is the mayor, and all the councillors, as usual, they are agreeing with him and making note what was he saying. The art professor of the university said that now the statue of the happy prince did not look beautiful and was not useful anymore, and so they should demolish it. Demolish means destroy. So they melted the statue, which was made of lead, in a furnace. The supervisor of the foundry saw a strange thing. The heart of the happy prince of statue was broken into two pieces, was not melting in the furnace. So they threw it as it is in the dust heap. So here the people decided to destroy or demolish the statue, and they just decided to melt the heart, which was in two pieces now, and they couldn't melt it, so they thrown it in the dust heap. Coincidentally, they threw the heart of the happy prince where the dead swallow was also lying. God asked one of his angels to bring him the two most precious things of the city. The angel brought two pieces of heart of the statue and the dead swallow bird. God said to the angel that it had brought the right thing. It had chosen the right things, which were indeed the most precious things of the city. He said that the bird would always sing in the garden of his paradise, and the happy prince would stay in his city of gold and admire him. So, this is how they were rewarded for their kind and good heart. They are ready to help. Even both of them sacrificed a lot to help others. I hope you understood this story. As usual, just read the text. See you in the next class. Bye.